So I've talked about this before, this exact type of video where I don't really have much else to say other than it's ridiculous to think that I just watched Alex Ovechkin and the Washington Capitals finally win the Stanley Cup. It's, aside from sitting here and rambling, which is exactly what I'm about to do, that's it. If you wanted to know the basic point of this video, that's it. I am still in shock. Here's the thing. I live streamed earlier, towards the end of the game, so as the initial cup ceremony is going on and as all that happened, I was live streaming on Twitch. I was going to put that just, up as this video. I forgot to put the chat up on screen. I should have put it like up in the corner over here or something. It would have made that video better. You can still check that out. It's up on the VOD section. I'll link it down below if I remember. But my initial reactions were there. Continued streaming for a bit, took the dog for a walk, got back home, and just that's all I could do. Twitter, Reddit, everything. Watching the entire ceremony back. Just, it is insane. That moment of Alex Ovechkin raising the Stanley Cup is incredible. I had, of course, I have to be defensive here for a moment. I had some people saying, oh, it's the best one since Bork. Probably. Are they on equal pairings? For me personally, not. Of course, there's a massive difference there. And I think also the difference, of course, Ovi's 32 years old. He still had time. I am not taking anything away from that, though. That's just a comment that came to mind. Again, this is going to be very rambling heavy. As far as, what I had said previously, I mean, bracket-wise, didn't expect them to do well. And then obviously once they were down 0-2 to Columbus, I actually sent out a tweet begging their general manager, please trade Alex Ovechkin. Stop wasting his career. Trade him to a team that wants to win. And then we get here. And it's ridiculous. And of course, before the Cup final, I put out a video talking about who I'd prefer to see win. And even then, I'm not overly happy. The Capitals win on the road, although fair play to both Golden Knights fans and Caps fans, as Golden Knights fans smartly, wisely sold their tickets so that Caps fans could probably pay 2 to 3 times what the Golden Knights fans initially paid for them, so everybody wins except for the Golden Knights, but their fans win because they got more money in their pockets tonight from selling those seats for crazy Caps fans who got to witness history. And it made for a great moment too, with the amount of Caps fans that were in the building, during that whole Cup ceremony. Sometimes, and that was my big concern, sometimes it's a little bit anticlimactic because you just don't have that initial pop. And still, you didn't. It would have been that much more special in Washington. Obviously, if you're a Caps fan, who gives a damn? It doesn't matter at all. In time, you might start to feel the way I do about the Bruins' 2011 win, where it's the most amazing thing in the world, but it just feels like that little extra was missing. And I can make that comparison personally due to watching the Red Sox win in 04 and 07, and then seeing them win at home in 2013 at Fenway. Different moments. And I feel like Blackhawks fans would feel the same way. 2010 and 2013 are great. You can't tell me 2015 doesn't feel that much better. 2010 might have been the best one, though, of course, because it broke the drought. But still, you get the point. Anyway, I don't know. Some people might complain, you're not talking about Washington enough. I told you this was going to be rambling heavy. It's insane. I was going to sit down and record a Seattle episode, and I realized all I'm going to sit there and talk about is this. So I thought I got it all out of my system during the stream. I didn't. It's still the #1 thing on my mind. And I finished Detroit Become Human tonight, which I'm going to bring that playthrough to the channel, by the way. Hope you enjoy that if you decide to check it out. Great game, by the way. But this is all that's on my mind. And I'm just sitting here. There's so many just questions for both sides. I mean, Vegas, I have the cap friendly up here. I mean, I have cap friendly up for both teams because I want to talk about certain contract situations. But, I mean, obviously what they did this year. No Disney movie. That Disney movie's canceled at this point, but it's still one hell of a story. And congrats to Leicester City for having the most miraculous season in the history of sports. Still, somehow, you held on to that record. But I can't help but wonder. I'm not eager for the injury list to come out, but I'm intrigued because I can't help but think a good number of these players on the Golden Knights were extremely banged up. Jonathan Marchessault and William Karlsson just not quite the same. Defensively, it was rough. I mean, they still implored that bend don't break defensive strategy, the all-out forechecking pressure, and it just didn't work against a team like Washington, and I have to wonder if it's just due to injury. But obviously, I wasn't on the side of, oh, well, they can't even, Golden Knights fans can't even be upset because it's their first time and they didn't deserve it. And people threw around the word deserve a lot. Nobody deserves anything in hockey. There isn't a rite of passage to win, so I wasn't rooting against Vegas for that. But like I mentioned in the preview video, I would have been more than fine with the story coming full circle and the Golden Knights winning, but I'm also very much okay with Washington and Alex Ovechkin winning because it is just so ridiculous to sit here and think that it happened. But for Vegas, I'm really intrigued to see what they do in this coming, in this upcoming offseason. Obviously, they don't have as many draft picks as they would have had they not, gone for it. Like the addition of Thomas Tatar was a factor. But I am really intrigued to see what they do. I mean, obviously, we expected certain guys like James Neal, David Perron, for them to be traded at the deadline. They held on to them to go for it. I'm intrigued to see if they're brought back, what kind of splash they make in the free agent market, what kind of contract is William Karlsson going to get. He's an RFA. I'm intrigued to see what changes they make, how they take advantage of the draft, the trade market, the free agent market. I think they're going to be a very interesting team to watch. If you were to tell me that they're going to be back in the Stanley Cup Final next year, I wouldn't be surprised. But if you were to tell me that they were going to be a bottom 5 team in the league, I also wouldn't be surprised. I could see them taking a small step back. But for the moment, just what a season for them. It's absolutely insane. It is absolutely insane to think of. And then with Washington, I mean, Jesus, where the hell do you start? I talked about not wanting Ovechkin to be on that list of all-time greats to not win a cup. And as a Bruins fan, obviously Ray Bourque comes to mind and how close he was. And then you look at the greats like Marcel Dion that are on that list. You look at great players now that still don't have one. Whether it be Jerome McGinley, whose career looks done. Joe Thornton and Henrik Lundqvist are running out of time so quickly. Patrick Marleau as well, and there are other players I'm not naming, and I know. You can't, I don't know, I find it hard to believe that there's anybody who's like, yeah, I'm kind of happy Joe Thornton doesn't have a cup. Like, really? I mean, if you're a Ducks fan, if you're a Kings fan, both your teams have cups anyways, so I can't imagine a situation. Like, I'm sorry, even like the most diehard Oiler fan, if you were to tell me right now, like, oh yeah, I'm happy Jerome McGinley doesn't have a cup, it's like, come on. Like, that would just be such a dick move. And even Penguins fans, obviously you weren't going to outright root for Ovechkin, but if it ruined your day that he has a Stanley Cup, come on. Like, just, it really would have sucked for them to lose and for Ovechkin to never win. Now, obviously, he's 32 years old. Whether or not he would have won a few years down the road, who's to say? But I'm glad we don't have to worry about that towards the tail end of his career. But yeah, it's insane. That moment of him raising the cup is definitely up there, though, in terms of, although the the shitty pyro that they had as they're walking the cup down the carpet, like, just what was that shitty pyro display? It was so bad. It was peak NHL, though. It was so bad. But the music they had playing when Ovi, raised the cup, just ridiculousness. He passes it over to Nick Backstrom, which I called it too on the stream. I'm like, you watch. Some people will complain that Ovi is right there next to Backstrom. Pretty much confirmed that he was there in case Backstrom had a hard time carrying it. He probably has a broken hand. Of course, if you haven't seen that picture, I tweeted about it about a week ago. His hand looked like he was turning into a goddamn lobster. Like, it was claw-like. It was ridiculous. So, I'm not surprised Obi was right there with him. And hey, if you want to change who's on the cover now, maybe go with the Kane and Taves. I think it was NHL 16, that cover where they were both on it. Do it for Ovi and Backstrom. I'd be cool with it. You watch, though, EA will make it Sidney Crosby just to taunt Caps fans. But, like I said, in terms of certain people, being upset that Washington won, I get it. Rivalries are a thing. And sure, some Caps fans are going to be unbearable to deal with. but they deserve that right. Let them have their moment for a while. And then, of course, at a point, it will start to be unbearable. Kind of like certain Patriots fans who will always remind you, hey, yeah, all this success. I get that. There are unbearable fans for every fan base, and when there's success, it's that much worse. I won't say anything about the Eagles. I won't do it, because I'll just be called salty. But, oh, God. I mentioned this was going to be rambling heavy, didn't I? But just, goddamn, like, I'm sitting here looking over the list of players right now, and then Ovi... You know, what's there to say? Like I said, what's there to say? If I were to, script this out, it would be a 5-second video. Happy for Ovi, ridiculous, crazy, what the hell, thank you very much, good night. That would be it. Instead, we're sitting here, I'm sitting here at least, I don't know if anyone's watching this at this point, you are a saint. But Ovi winning is just ridiculous. He wins the Conn Smythe as well, a little bit controversial, but I'm okay with it. I compared it to Crosby winning in 2016 rather than Phil Kessel, and I feel like that's a very fair comparison. I'm okay with it. Personally, I don't think Kuznetsov matters, mainly because, of course, he was the first one to kind of point out, hey, that woman in the front row. Yeah, and if you don't know what I'm referring to, look it up. You'll have fun. But, yeah, God. Alex Ovechkin's a Stanley Cup champion, and that is ridiculous. Evgeny Kuznetsov very well could have won the Conn Smythe. I mean, what a breakout postseason for him. Still not the biggest fan of the flap, but I don't know. I'm all for celebrations. I'm all for players having personality. It's just, I don't know. It's cringy to me. I've talked about this. It's a little bit cringy to me. I don't know why. Kind of dab-like. It's just not for me. I'm happy for Kuznetsov. I'm happy for Backstrom. I'm extremely happy for TJ Oshie. And if you didn't see him talking about his father, who's battling Alzheimer's, yeah, check that out. Maybe have a box of tissues with you. But that was a hell of a moment. Lars Eller getting the cup-winning goal. Talk about breakout postseasons. Lars Eller looked like one of the best players in the world this postseason. And yeah, that upset a lot of people, particularly some Habs fans in the Twitch chat earlier tonight. But yeah, Lars Eller, cup-winning goal, first Dane to win the Stanley Cup. Nathan Walker, the first Australian to win the Stanley Cup. Brett Connolly, which makes me think of this. Brett Connolly is a Stanley Cup champion, which... It's not his fault that the Bruins overspent for him, but still, it's weird to say that Brett Connolly is a Stanley Cup champion. Verana's cup-winning goal was insane. Devontae Smith-Pelly is about to get paid. It probably shouldn't be. Hope it's not by you, Sweeney. And Bruins, who are clearly, just don't, please. I like Devontae Smith-Pelly. God, someone's going to overpay for him big time. I hope he lives up to it, though. Jesus. Just looking at the defense now, it's like Matt Niskanen. I mean, Brooks Orpik. Well, I think Brooks Orpik will probably retire, don't you think? His contract, I mean, he has 1 year left. I'd like to think at 37 you got nothing left to play for, Brooks. Maybe just call it a day. Christian Juice, of course. Jesus Christ, what a steal he is. John Carlson was, and actually Jarabek as well, was a talk among Habs fans on the Twitch chat. John Carlson, obviously, a lot of talk about what he's going to do. I think he could stay. I don't know. Some Caps fans changed my mind about whether or not he'll stay or not. Depends on the offers that he gets. I mean, he could make upwards of $8 million a year. Arguably a top 5 defenseman in the league. I'd say so after this season. We'll see. That would be a huge keep. I mean, you want to say a huge get, but he's already on the team. That'd be huge for Washington to keep John Carlson, especially on a half-decent deal. And Braden Holtby, the next one that comes to mind. The worst season of his career, doesn't start in round 1. That goes to Grubauer, who, hey, congrats, Grubauer. Now go try to bail out the Islanders, probably. But for Braden Holtby to turn it around this postseason and be the goalie that Bruins fans are quite familiar with, as he has owned the Bruins since 2012, to see Braden Holtby find his game and turn back into that dominant goaltender, one of the best of the league, if not the best in the league when he's on his game like that, there was not really much Vegas could do. I mean, hell, Vegas put up 3 goals on him tonight. You have to hope that if you score 3 on Holtby that it's a win. And if it's not, you didn't deserve to win that game. So, I don't know. I could sit here and ramble about this because I'm still just it's surreal. Even as a Bruins fan, it's surreal. I'm so happy for Alex Ovechkin. The news broke in the post game that he and his wife are expecting a child, which is ridiculous. So Alex Ovechkin's probably the happiest man on the face of the earth right now, aside from Evgeny Kuznetsov. Oh god, that takes some balls. That takes some balls, even from a woman, to just be like, yeah, fuck it. NBC cameras around, CBC cameras around. Yeah, let's just flash the Capitals as they parade around. Bravo to her. Bravo to her. You got golf claps, man. Congratulations. You're forever an internet meme. Just hope your face stays pixelized enough, because there's some weird people out there. Alex Ovechkin's the Stanley Cup champion. Barry Trotz. There was some talk too over whether or not Barry Trotz might call it. Now, he was quoted in saying he feels like there's a future for him there. Some people were questioning maybe whether or not he wants to call it. Regardless, an amazing coach from all outside perspectives, an amazing human being, and I'm very happy for Barry Trotz. I'm happy for Olaf Kolzig, who was also handed the cup by Ovechkin. Just, like, I get it if you're not a Caps fan. I'm not a Caps fan, obviously. But just craziness. Absolute craziness. I'm going to stop rambling at this point because I do still want to get at least the Seattle episode done tonight. But I wanted to talk about this just in case you guys weren't able to check out the Twitch stream, which would have been the majority of you, but that's okay. What else is there to say? How do you wrap up this video other than what a season? Alex Ovechkin's a Stanley Cup champion. I cannot wait for the draft. I cannot wait for the rest of the offseason. August through September. That's going to suck because that's when it really dies down. Actually, it dies down about 2 weeks after free agency starts, and that's really going to suck. But until then, let's keep riding the wave of hockey momentum, we'll say. I'm rambling. Thank you for watching. I want to know what you thought about the Stanley Cup down below. Hopefully you're excited for Ovechkin winning a Stanley Cup, as you should be. And if you're a Pittsburgh fan, hey, you'll get over it. Because, 3 cups and all in the Crosby era. I'll talk to you later.